love everything that I've learned about you thus far. I mean, obviously we're connected through WAVE, so Women's Association of Verizon Employees, and you are so involved at Verizon and with STEM as well. So I saw you on that panel, and I just got so intrigued by your involvement as part of the culture at Verizon. I feel like you really go above and beyond to immerse yourself in it, and it's such an example for the rest of us because you're on stage, but you're doing your day job and you're on calls and you're so, eager to be a part of everything. And it's such a great example. And if I hadn't known you on a personal level and gotten to know you after all that, there's so many things that we're going to talk about that I wouldn't even have guessed about you.
It's so nice that you mentioned Toastmasters, and I know we talked about it before too, but within Toastmasters, you can choose like different paths that you can go into. Maybe you just want to work on presentation skills or you want to work on leading a team. In each path, you go through about 25 to 30 different speeches, and they're all different types. And one portion of that path would be to how to present yourself in a digital world. Like, how do you present yourself through a screen? And if you're part of a panel discussion, how do you interact with the fellow virtual panelists that you're with, or even how to look at the camera, when to use your hands? So that definitely helped. But at the same time, like you mentioned, it's such a big difference how to position yourself, whether you're looking for a new opportunity within the company, outside the company, or even want to network. Those events are very important to just put yourself out there if you're not comfortable or if you have a busy day during the day, just to get yourself familiar with meeting new people, because that's how opportunities open up. Even if you're not actively looking for one, if you grow your network, that's how you can tap into it maybe like a year or two from now on, even to just pivot in your career or learn something new. Building your network brings so many things, and I love doing what I do through WAVE because I'm able to enable other people to build their own networks.
We've talked about STEM my entire life, like at least since middle school. So to hear STEM beaten into our brains, but then to not really see it manifest itself. And then you mentioned STEAM, and I just loved that holistic perspective. Like, we moved away from just left brain activities and we migrated into the right brain. So I would love to learn more about that.
That art part is so important. And let's take an example. I'm part of, I work in data science, and a common phrase that we say in data science is that data science is both an art and a science. When you take that data, how do you portray it to the world? Not everyone will understand those intricate numbers, and they don't even have to. So your point is, how do you take all that intricate numbers and this in the system, translate it into layman's terms? How do you show effect? What is that data showing, and how is that impacting the environment or even society? So putting that into just terms that people can understand, business terms or even customer terms, that is the art of any technological data science or anything.
The people within the math and sciences of our society are learning how to communicate to the people outside of it, that maybe they're able to communicate more socially, but they don't understand the math and science. So it's bridging that gap together and showing that we can really learn from one another, in all aspects of life.
I love that. I love the way you put it. When we were entering this quarantine time, it was just people were stressed out. Like, what do we do? Like, why? How did the world even change this drastically? So that article was just about self-care in itself. For some people, life got easier. For others, life got a lot harder. Treating yourself how you would actually treat others. The other article that I wrote specifically for birthday, be a better version of yourself year by year. Every time your birthday rolls around, just be like, observe yourself. Am I a better person than I was in my last birthday? Don't compare yourself to anyone else.
Don't have as much foresight anymore when I'm constantly trying to live in the present moment. So planning out for 5 years, I have no idea where my life will take me. Yeah. But planning out 1 to 2 years or what I can do today to influence the future me, that's something I do have control over, and that's kind of how I shaped my development plan.
I have so many thoughts going on with just this. but I do want to get started. And the point of this is just talking about people's legacy. A lot of people want to do focus on one particular thing in their life. Early on in life, you can go in all different directions, kind of researching, kind of finding your way. But as you get through a few years in life, you wind down onto one thing. Maybe it's giving back to society in one way, it's teaching people, or with what you're doing, it's connecting one person to another, even if it's one connection each day. So what drives you? What drives you as a person, and your legacy in that? What do you want to leave behind for like future generations? So I want to explore like what drives people, what motivates them, and what did they do and which paths did they go to explore to get to that point in their life. It's so funny because yes, like I think I identify more of an introvert than an extrovert. Definitely not like on an extreme scale, one or the other, but like I wouldn't approach a person that easily if I didn't know them. You and I, the first time we talked, like that went pretty smoothly, and I was surprised by that because you're just a really, really nice and easy person to talk to, and you bring the other person in conversation very easily. But not a lot of people do that. It's hard to find like a topic of conversation or even just what to start off with. What I've done is kind of put myself into situations. One would be just joining Toastmasters, like we've talked about before. Another one, when I first started working at Verizon, me being part of the leadership development program, we have a class of our own. And I would say about 80% of them are extreme extroverts. They love to just go out and like talk to most random people. And I'm just sitting there like, how do I do this? How do I like get myself out there? Not because I want to be like other people. It's just to show that, okay, like being part of this program, how do I take advantage of this opportunity that I have? Different variety of people have different ways to make conversation, and that's the important thing, just to take that first step to just make that conversation. If it works, it'll carry on after that first meeting. If it doesn't, then at least you had that one initial meeting with them and now you know something new.
You can learn really from any person that you meet. So I think that that's a really great outlook to have. And just the fact that you're getting yourself out of your comfort zone and pushing yourself and challenging yourself in those ways, that's also going to develop you as a person, you know? And I think that that's
Yeah.
something that we don't always know how to approach people. We don't always know how to find that common ground right off the bat, especially the further we get outside of our comfort zone, right? Like anything that's no longer familiar territory is going to
Mm-hmm.
make itself, more difficult and cumbersome to really bond with someone. But that's why it's even more important because there's a sense of fear, I believe, when we of the unknown, right? When we don't know
Yeah.
about other people, other cultures, COVID, like all of these things create fear, and fear breeds anxiety and even depression, which keeps us from being our best selves. And back to one of the articles that you wrote about being your best self year after year and using your birthday as a checkpoint to
Yeah.
see, hey, how far did I come this past year? And how much more do I want to accomplish in the next year? And just taking it day by day, but having that self awareness throughout.
I would like to drive home the point of just putting yourself out. Everything has a starting point. Just if you're thinking of something, but you're wavering and you're thinking of, should I do it? Should I not? What will people say? Don't care about anything. And then just press the start button and get going. And then things will pick up as they go. That's my one and main thing with everything that I've done in my life so far. It was just taking that first step, and I would get comfortable with it as time comes.